Chair. I do indeed. I appreciate working with me on that. I'm bringing before you SCR14, which I actually read on the Senate floor when we proposed it. And I did it that day because we had the chair of the Irish Senate, or what would be effectively the president pro tem of the Senate in Ireland, was in town. And he has barnstormed the country to develop these relationships with states and Ireland, because the economic opportunity for both their country and for us is great. And so he's done this amazing job of building relationships around the country and advocating for these types of things. So not only a resolution, but the next bill I'm hearing down in economic development is actually establishing an Irish Trade Commission, Missouri Irish Trade Commission. So I'm glad to bring this before you. This just recognizes our relation with Ireland and the history that's behind it, and would love to see it. I would love to see us pass it. Happy to take any questions.
I don't think we have any questions because I met with him, and I liked him, and I see what you're doing. So
yeah, I have a witness I'm going to take down to the other hearing, and he's of Irish descent and knows Mark very well. And I was showing him pictures of you and when he met with the governor, and Mark, when he was here, actually went to my daughter's basketball game with me. He kind of invited himself to go with us, and so that was fun too. So Mark is the president of the Senate of Ireland. It's really cool to have. Like, he's that relational. It's a sweet thing.
All right. Thank you for being here. Next up, Senator Trent, Senate Bill 1119.
Are there any witnesses in support of the resolution that we just got done hearing? In support, please.
14. For the Irish. Oh, for 14. Yeah.
For SCR 14? Sorry. Okay. Any witnesses in opposition? All right. Seeing none. Any witnesses for informational purposes only? Seeing none. Senator Trent on Senate Bill 1119.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Curtis Trent, representing Senate District 20. So this is the Convention of State Commissioners language that we have heard before, and I believe has passed out of this committee before. It essentially does three basic things. I won't belabor the committee's time since we have heard this particular bill last year.
Senator, if you don't mind, just really quick, we now have a quorum, so we're going to make sure that this hearing counts, so you don't have to do it over again. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Luke DeMeyer.
Here.
O'Laughlin. Here. Searpoy.
Present.
May. Williams.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this bill does essentially three things. In the event that you have a Convention of States, Article 5 convention called, this would provide for the selection and eligibility of commissioners that Missouri would send to such a convention. It provides for the General Assembly to consider commissioner instructions, what they should and should avoid doing while they're participating in the convention, and it provides for the recall of commissioners should they act in a way that the General Assembly has specified they should not act. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the bill sponsor? Senator Searpoy.
Senator, but didn't we pass this last year?
So we did pass it, but not all the way to the finish line. Okay. So unfortunately, we're doing it again.
So have we ever passed this all the way through?
We have not passed the commissioner selection portion. Missouri is a signatory to the Convention of States.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing none. Witnesses in support.
My name is Rosendo Martinez, and thank you very much for allowing me to speak here today. I'm over here asking for your support for Bill 1119 so that you guys will be able to determine who's going to go to the convention, and so that you can control the people going to the convention. People over there in Washington, they're just spending money that we don't have. They try to be there forever, and they don't pay attention to the Constitution. Thanks to they don't pay attention to the 10th Amendment. Thanks to the Supreme Court. So something has to be done. I'm doing this. I'm old. I came here from Cuba 1 week before Castro, and going to college. And 2 years later, my mother and my father came over here, refugee, and they told me how horrible communism is. And right now we get another issue. We got a problem right now in New York. We have a mayor that is a communist, and we got people that are communists over there on the place. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my children, my grandchildren, and my grandchildren. So thank you very much. If you have any question, I'll be glad to answer it.
Thank you for your testimony. Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Don't forget to fill out a witness form if you've not already done so.
I did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next witness in support.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Brett Sturley. I'm a resident of the 30th Senatorial District, an unpaid volunteer for Convention of States Action, and serving as State Director for Missouri. Convention of States Action is a 501c3 nonprofit, nonpartisan political organization with supporters and volunteers in every state legislative district in America. I'm representing our 71,256 grassroots supporters in Missouri, testifying in support of House Bill 1119. In the 99th Assembly back in 2017 passed the Convention of States the resolution to call a Convention of States meeting to discuss to propose amendments to the U.S. Constitution that limit the size, scope, and jurisdiction of the federal government, discuss term limits for federal officials, and restore fiscal restraints. That was passed with a 5-year sunset, which the Assembly passed again in 2021, removing the sunset clause. The next step after that is for you to determine how Missouri will select their commissioners to represent Missouri at any Article 5 Convention of States meeting. This is what SB 1119 does. To a previous question, this exact same bill language has passed out of this committee. This is the 5th year that we're introducing it. It did not pass in 2020 for obvious reasons with the truncated session, but the last 4 sessions it has passed out of this committee. It did pass out of the full Senate in 2024. It's passed through the subcommittee and the Rules Committee over on the House side as well, but just has never made it to the floor. So we were trying to get this done. And this is the next step in the process. SB 1119 involves the whole entire legislature. It involves the whole entire state by having a representative in each of the federal congressional districts represent Missouri's delegation at an Article 5 Convention of States meeting. And momentum is really picking up. This is not something that's going to be happening in 20 or 30 or 40 years. This is really picking up pace. Just this year, Kansas became state number 20 this session to pass the Convention of States resolution. We're actually hearing in about an hour in the Iowa House and also the South Dakota House. We have passed the South Dakota Senate, so South Dakota is poised to be state number 21. So we have to meet that 34 state threshold, and the pace is really picking up. And I just think that this is an opportunity for Missouri to lead. And I think it's time to pass this legislation. I definitely appreciate your consideration and the opportunity to testify. Thank you.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Further witnesses in support? Any further witnesses in support? Seeing none, any witnesses in opposition?
Hi, my name is Bev Aylen. I'm testifying as an engaged citizen today on my own. And I made packets for each member of the committee because I thought it was such good information you needed to have them. Even made a packet for you, Senator Trent. And I've also brought you each a copy of the Constitution, the federal Constitution, see how small it is? This is the 250th year anniversary special, so it's a little bit taller. Anyway, we assume the best of ourselves, and that's probably one of our problems. We assume. Actually, when nothing in the 143 words of the Article 5 indicate who, how, and when. I thought it was, I did a little bit too much research. I've been here longer than any of you. Well, yeah, anyway. And that's one of the problems with term limits. But I went back, because I remember in 2018, we had passed, well, he said 17. I thought it was 18. Well, I'm pretty sure it was 18. But anyway, we passed the first call, the Convention of the States call, 101 to 34 in the House and 24-6 in the Senate, and that was for term limits, which is another point of contention. Whenever everybody thinks term limits is an easy solution to our problems, we know our federal government is too big, and anybody who's in the Missouri House and Senate should also understand the problems with term limits, because we have the turnover, and there's not the history, not the knowledge, not the whatever, and but still an easy solution, because when in the past years, when we've had a hearing on term limits, I kind of started taking notes. We actually have a turnover in the federal government, about 10% turnover every election cycle, which surprised me, because, on the TV you see the same faces over and over and over, and we have a 14.25% turnover in the House. And I went back to 2005, because that's our longest serving member of Congress is Representative Sam Gray. So anyway, so in 2018, it passed. 5 years with the 5-year expiration. And it was an expiration date. It was actually in writing, expires in 5 years. So in 2021, that one was for term limits, so it passed high. In 2021, the vote in the House was 89-64, and in the Senate, 23-11. You wonder, well, why? Well, because in that bill, I guess it was a bill, that time, they had to combine term limits with limit on government and limit on the budget. So that took, when they added the other two in there in that call, it dropped down and only passed 89 votes in the House. So anyway, I left my cards at home. It's funny because, now the good thing about this, but not really good, it lines out what happens if we have the call to convention, and each house, each chamber, the Senate and the House, will have their chance. You get to the President Pro Tem gets to appoint 5 senators, 3 of the majority and 2 of the minority, and the Speaker of the House gets to appoint 5 as well. But then it gets, you think about it, I should have looked up the population of Missouri, but we have very few people making these choices. One of the arguments I've heard this year of reinstating the presidential primary is that it involves everybody gets to, and then it also, when it comes down to it, only the rich and famous get to go to the conventions because it's at their own dime. Now, there's no fiscal note to this bill, and there shouldn't be, because every commissioner and alternate pays their own way to the convention usually, and that's why usually just the rich and famous get to go. But in this, I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, my index cards are so much better. MOGA decides, but only MOGA gets to decide the commissioners, but only they limit themselves to 2/3. 1/3 has to be somebody other than MOGA. Missouri General Assembly. And the same for alternates. But okay, back to the cost. But it also states that if the convention is called and we have our rules in our call, and we think we just called it for holding limits for the federal government and those other two things. However, there's nothing in those 143 words in the Article 5 that determines the call. So it might be other people there to call, and once you convene the convention, it's Katie bar the door, because you've all been to conventions, you've been to meetings, you've been, when somebody gets the mic and gets, to write the rules. Our rules say that the Missouri General Assembly gets to rewrite or bring them home or meet with the commissioners and redetermine, because if the convention has rules, develop rules, adopts rules, then without we can change it. But that's where the fiscal note comes in. So what happens if the convention convenes on June 1st, and they pull some tricks right away, and we want to change things? The Missouri General Assembly has to reconvene to do those things, and that would be a cost to bring them back to Missouri. And how much time would it take? Would they be available to make these decisions? Would they already be on vacations or whatever? So there's a lot. Like I said, we think about the best that's going to happen, but you have to think about what's the worst that could happen. And I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but that's what you have to think about. And I think that's all. The rest is in the packet.
Any questions for Ms. Aitken? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Further witnesses in opposition?
Lisa Panett with Armorvine, and I am just going to talk about someone who was way more brilliant than I am, and I don't mean to offend anybody in the room, but I think probably more brilliant than any of us in the room. That's Phyllis Schlafly. Phyllis Schlafly strongly opposed the Convention of States movement, viewing it as a dangerous threat to the U.S. Constitution. She argued that the Article 5 Constitutional Convention, often promoted as a tool to limit federal power, could not be controlled or limited in scope. It might result in a runaway convention that jeopardizes foundational rights. Schlafly warned that such a convention could lead to unintended amendments, including repealing the Second Amendment, eliminating the Electoral College, and mandating taxpayer-funded abortion or weakening border security. She famously described the effort as playing Russian roulette with the Constitution. She emphasized that the Founding Fathers never intended for a new convention to rewrite the nation's governing framework. She rejected the idea that states could control the convention's agenda, noting that Congress would call the convention and that big population states like California and New York would dominate delegate apportionment. Schlafly also criticized the Convention of States naming as misleading, insisting it was not truly a convention of states, but a national convention with unpredictable consequences. Her opposition was consistent across political causes, even when aligned with conservative goals. For example, she opposed using a convention to pass a pro-life amendment after Roe v. Wade, believing the process was too risky despite shared policy aims. And that is my testimony.
Any questions for Ms. Panett? Senator Searpoint.
Thanks. First of all, do you support the initiative petition process in Missouri?
Do I support what we currently have?
Mm-hmm.
No, I do not.
Okay. And if I understand right, anything that the convention, I personally think I support the idea of a convention, but I think it'll get nothing done, just like most of government. Because if I understand things right, anything the convention does, every state gets one vote. And it takes 2/3 of the states to send it to the states for ratification, and then it takes 37 states to get it into the Constitution, right? 3/4, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so 13 states can stop this. So anybody thinks we're going to pass a pro-life amendment or an anti-gun amendment, I don't think we'd get anything done. Maybe term limits for federal office holders, but I think there's little chance of getting a balanced budget amendment. 13 states, and there's 13 blue states, would stop it from happening. So I think this fear and fear mongering and saber rattling is just misplaced. Once you understand it takes 2/3 of the members, where each state gets one vote. I don't care if you send 45 people there, you get one vote. And then it takes 3/4 of the states to ratify something. There's very little chance anything gets done.
Well, I would just say that I don't think Phyllis Schlafly was a saber rattler by any means. I think she sometimes even protected the Republican Party to a place where I think you would be in agreement, but I may not.
Well, I just think that if you look at where the Congress is now and what it takes to get a constitutional amendment in this country, it takes 2/3 of the Congress to send it to us to ratify, and it just never happens. This is the only way folks have a way to actually address things that need to be addressed, and the bar is very, very high. So I don't think I think the fear is just misplaced. I think I'll be disappointed if we have a convention. I don't think we'll get anything done, but it's a chance to maybe to address some things, or at least if we get close to scaring Congress and actually passing something. Thank you.
Any further questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Further witnesses in opposition? Seeing none. Any witnesses for informational purposes only? Seeing none. Senator Trent, any concluding remarks?
No, just that as a point of clarification, Missouri is already a signatory to the Convention of States, so this bill has nothing to do with whether or not we participate in the Convention of States. That's already been decided. This bill is just addressing how commissioners would be selected and how they would be controlled by the General Assembly. And I appreciate the committee's time and consideration.
Thank you for that clarification. That will conclude the hearing on Senate Bill 1119. No further business coming before the committee. I would make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those contrary, no. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.